Hey everyone, Sean here, and welcome to another edition of After the Movie. I'm at my house right now. I just went ahead and revisited a classic film, which I haven't seen in a good maybe like 15 plus years. I went ahead and I watched Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. This is a movie that was released in 2001. It's a lower budget Canadian horror comedy film. And this movie was one that's been kind of on my mind for a little bit. There's a few moments I still remember from the first time I watched it that just kind of stuck in my head, but I hadn't seen it in a really, really long time, so I couldn't remember if I really liked it. I mean, there's a few bits that I did remember chuckling at. So I want to give it another revisit because it has been an awfully long time since I'd seen this movie. But a few scenes still kind of stuck into my core memories after the initial viewing, and I saw it because I watched it with my older sister and one of her friends many, many, many years ago. We laughed, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and give this thing a watch. So, like I said, this is a lower budget Canadian horror comedy film. The storyline of this film is absolutely ridiculous. The storyline follows a bunch of vampires who are targeting lesbians, and so the church goes to Jesus, that's right, Jesus Christ, to fight off these vampires with various kung fu martial arts bits. There really isn't any other movie kind of like this thing, at least that I've seen. It's got a low budget feel to it. It kind of has a bit of a grindhouse feel. Every single line is ADR. There is more ADR in this film than there is in The Room. And there's also this weird Alan Moore, Charles Manson guy, preacher who kind of like pops up from time to time as like the intro to the movie, and then he'll just kind of say all sorts of random gibberish. And Jesus teams up with a luchador, and they fight a bunch of vampires. There's also this crazy doctor who is basically like taking people and and doing skin transplants to the vampires so that way they're able to kind of go and survive the daylight. It really is absolutely an insane movie. Like I said, this is low budget. There's also random musical numbers. Various bizarre characters pop up throughout this thing. There is a luchador who becomes Jesus's basically his tag team partner, and they spend the movie fighting vampires. There's some pretty funny bits for it for sure. This is low budget, and it does have its charm with some of the gags. It knows exactly what kind of movie it is, but they do kind of play it more straight-faced. Now, the guy playing Jesus, I do feel like one of the movie's mistakes, though, is giving him a shaved haircut. I feel like if they kept the long hair, I think it would have been funnier because it would have kept that image that most people see when it comes to Jesus with, the beard and the long hair, but having him kind of shave that all off and all that, it kind of takes you out of it just a little bit of the fact that this is supposed to be Jesus. Had they kept the long hair and the beard and all that, I think it would have been funnier if they kept that throughout the entire movie, but they kind of get rid of it earlier on. The kung fu martial arts are absolutely ridiculous. It's pretty obvious when most of the hits don't make it, but again, this is low budget, has its charm. There's a scene where Jesus fights a bunch of people, and they come out of this Jeep, and keep in mind, it's a normal sized Jeep, but it keeps cutting back to the Jeep, and just more and more people just keep like popping out of it. I think there's something like 40 or 50 people who just keep like they cut away, like he beats up a bunch of people, then more people just keep spawning like endlessly out of this Jeep. And it is pretty funny, and then he just kind of takes them all out. He kind of sort of has a love interest in there, and it's just an absolutely like ridiculous movie. That does kind of make me laugh. So now a lot of it does kind of overstay its welcome, so the fight scenes go on for too long. It's objectively a pretty dumb movie. I mean, you look at this thing, you either it's kind of an acquired taste for this type of movie. Some people are like, this is just way too stupid for me. But if you kind of like these lower budget, kind of schlockier type films that you just find kind of funny, maybe like another example in recent memory is like The Velocipaster, something like that. This film does have its charm. Again, this is early 2000s, 2001. And it's a low budget Canadian film, and it just was made with it looks like something a bunch of friends made on like a home video camera, and it definitely has some charm to it for that very reason. Like I said, every line is 80 yards. It's pretty silly, and ultimately it culminates in a crazy final fight scene at a junkyard with Jesus and the luchador, and they're fighting, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And then eventually it ends like all movies should with the song, "It's All Good, It's All Right, Everybody Gets Laid Tonight." And this song just pops up at the end of the film. It's actually extremely catchy, and I still even hum it to this day. That's the one thing that kind of stuck with me from this movie when I had seen it many, many, many years ago was that song, and of course, like the Jeep scene. And like as I was kind of watching it, more of it kind of came back, but a lot of it I completely forgotten about. It's just a crazy, ridiculous plot, and it's kind of like I said, one of those so bad it's good type films, but it's kind of intentionally made to be really silly. It's low budget. It has like its type of charm. It's not something I could see everybody getting into. Now, watching it again, it's not quite as fun, I think, because I don't have other people watching with me. This is one of those movies where it's like The Room. It's so bad, but it's kind of fascinating. It is really funny, but you kind of need that like communal viewing experience. Like you get a bunch of friends together, like let's watch a ridiculous movie, and we all sit there and we watch it and we have a good laugh at it, and that's part of the fun with it. That's why like, my first time seeing this thing like many many years ago, I just was remember kind of laughing and like all that just at the sheer utter ridiculousness, because I like these types of movies. Like I always kind of look for kind of schlockier movies that I know are kind of silly and kind of dumb, but they're ultimately something that just kind of like leaves you laughing and whatnot. And Jesus Christ Vampire definitely was a movie, like even revisiting it still has some pretty funny bits to it. It's pretty like stupid, but that's exactly what they're kind of going for with it. Some of it, like I said, does really kind of drag, even in a so bad it's good kind of way. A lot of the fight scenes just go on and kind of on, and like the final act is just kind of like these martial arts action sequences. They're not entirely good, but they're, like I said, played more for comedic effect. The punches miss rather obviously, but it's an insane plot about Jesus trying to stop a bunch of vampires who are targeting lesbians. And if you're into that type of movie, then this is the perfect film for you. And the ending song is one that I will be humming continuously many, many years later. So I'll leave a link in the description. So if you want to listen to the ending song of this movie, the full movie is actually on YouTube for free, so you can check it out. I'm not sure if anyone in the comment section has watched this film, or I mean, it's one I definitely think you should check out if you like schlockier films. But it's just one thing. They're just like, I can't believe this thing actually exists. I mean, with a title like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, you should know exactly what you're kind of getting into. And you're either going to be entertained by that concept, or you're going to just kind of walk away and be like, why did I even bother? So, but either way, like I said, it's not for everyone, but for someone like me, this is a fun one to watch. And I think it is definitely like something you do kind of need a few other friends who kind of enjoy this type of film to kind of watch together and laugh along with it. Because if you're watching it by yourself, it doesn't have the same impact. Although I did find myself kind of laughing a few times at just the utter insanity, ridiculousness of this story and how it's executed and all that other stuff. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. It's Labor Day weekend. I'm just kind of watching various films and occasionally doing after the movies. And I thought, you know what? I want to give Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter another watch, because it's been kind of on my mind the past few months or so, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it again. I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and watch this thing. I got the time right now. Let's see how it holds up, and it's pretty silly. So, yep, there you go. Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, rather ridiculous movie. And if you've seen it, post your comments down below. I'll leave a link in the description if anybody wants to check it out. And then afterwards, comment on this video. What did you think of it? What do you think the ending song? I think it's insanely catchy, and I'm going to be humming it all day and all night. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.